For Kumite, what is the most intense match you have refereed?
'08 Tokyo women's team event, Italy versus Greece, because I could understand some of the colourful words they were using and the intensity that girls were actually putting on the tatami. That was a very long 2 minutes for me.
I love the national camp, and having it on display for social media, it's just like another cherry on top. But it's great. It's great to see a lot of people who have been on the team for a long time, and then some people who it was their first time as well. So
under 21s are not at the youth leagues for the first time ever. So that will be super interesting to see how that plays out. We had a quick look at the program, and it seems like they've spread the other divisions over the 4 days a little bit more, which is good because they were very long.
I don't put myself out there like that. I'll go out there and I'll referee and I'll give what I see. Hopefully the right person progresses to the next round.
welcome back to the Kaizen Culture Pod, where we are keeping the conversation moving within Australian karate. My name is Mitchell Durham, here as always with Nathan Blockley. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be on Apple or Spotify. We're also watchable on YouTube. And while you're over there, please give the World Karate Cast a watch on the WKF YouTube channel to get your fix on everything international karate and talks with the sports superstars. Super fun. We get to be doing way more episodes with the World Karate Cast this year. Make sure you give the podcast a rating if you're enjoying the content, because we are loving bringing it to you. Nathan, we've got a very special episode today. Our first ever referee guest.
Oh, and I can't wait for this, especially with the new rule changes that have come to karate on the world stage. It's good because there's quite a bit of ambiguity in these rules. A lot of people also don't know that there's been a rule change, so it's important to highlight that.
Yeah.
But no, it's an absolute honour to get Dominic Sculli, who we've got coming on today, world referee. I mean, you'll do the full accolades and intro to him later on when we bring him on. But yeah, absolute privilege to have him on for today's episode.
Yeah, I think it's important. Like, something we don't really talk about very often, unless you know people in the sort of inner circles, to be like, oh, what's the new rules? And some of them not too big, but there are some that it's like we just really want to clear up, because I mean, especially in the kata space, it's a bit, like you said, ambiguous. But we're going to talk about all of that referee stuff a little bit later. We've got a few things we want to touch on before we kick off the episode with Dom. We were just at the National Training Camp last weekend in Melbourne. So many athletes, like 200.
It looks so packed.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a couple of photographers there as well that we've worked with in the past, and we're looking to bring on officially as our media team, and we'll do a little announcement later on about our media team and what we're looking at for Oz Open. But they were at the camp.
Let's do it right now.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's just go off the run sheet. Just doesn't matter. Let's go. Do the announcement.
We are expanding our media team. So we've been looking for a while to expand our media team. So we just want to provide as much as we can at all of the national competitions this year, and some international opportunities as well. So if you're interested at all about media in karate, if you're a photographer, if you're a videographer, editor, even like a technician, you're just interested in like even live streaming in the future, that sort of stuff. Just reach out to us on Kaizen Culture on our Instagram and let us know your interest. It doesn't matter if you've had no experience whatsoever or if you've had like 20 years in the industry. Reach out. We'd love to know who's interested in capturing karate for the karate community, for the Australian karate community. And just reach out, and we're excited to work with as many people as we can give the opportunity to.
Very well said, Nathan. We can't wait to expand this team and have just as many people on board that's just here for the vision and here for the betterment of karate. So, yeah, we can't wait to see the influx of people that are keen to jump on board. But, yeah, if you're keen to, work with us, we're keen to work with you. So that was great.
Exactly. And like, as I was saying, there was some photographers at the camp that were just doing it for the love of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want from our media team, the people who are involved in KC Media, is you're just passionate about karate. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. So that's who we're looking for.
Fantastic. And those people were Kylie Ann
and David Wellings as well. Yes, both parents of karate, so perfectly positioned to give up volunteer their time. Mm-hmm. To highlight what's happening in Australian karate. But yeah, the photos that they took, one, amazing photos, just side note, but so many people, like they had to have some massive frames to fit everybody in. It was something, I heard a rumor like 220, 200.
Over 200 registered for the national team. So it was pretty packed, especially when you got the juniors, cadets, and under 21s all in the same room. The seniors were separate every single time. I kind of felt bad. I felt like we've got so much space, like give some space here, but you have to obviously separate them. But it's great. It's great to see a lot of people who have been on the team for a long time. And then some people who it's their first time as well. So I love the national camp, and having it on display for social media, it's just like another cherry on top.
It is, yeah. We haven't really seen the inside look too much in previous years, so it was good to have a little bit of an insight this year. And so what was it? It was structured over the 2 days on Saturday and Sunday. And what was sort of the layout from a kumite's perspective?
Yeah, so Carter was up in the dance studio. Who knows what goes on in that room? Sensei Nori and new Kata coach Junko. You obviously have Frank Pocci as well, who's been there for a while. And I'm sure other people that I'm just forgetting, but I'm pretty sure we only have the 3 Kata coaches. Anyway.
Maybe some assistants.
Some assistant coaches. But yeah, Carter was up there. Have no idea. It's like a little dark room. They do whatever they want. They train for 6 hours a day. But Kumite was split up into the juniors because it's very heavily focused on the Junior World Championships. And then obviously in the senior space, it's the Karate World Cup. So that was the intention and the messaging for this year, for this camp. And then obviously like the IPP Pathways program for those athletes that don't get selected for those events. So that'll be like the Commonwealth Championships and maybe a tour in the Philippines like they did last year. So there's talks about that. And then, yeah, just focusing on, a few technical things for us. And then we were really... we had a talk with Martin Kearns, who was like a mindset and I guess mental coach, to talk about team culture, how we talk with each other, body language, all that sort of stuff. So that was a big focus for coming together as a team and then executing that on the day for performance. So that was quite fun to look at training in a different way, not just punches and kicks and stuff like that. So
yeah, and very related to what you guys are working towards as the male and female teams going into this year. You've got obviously the Oceania coming up. I think it's in end of May, or it's start of June, something like this. And that's your qualification to get into the Karate World Cup. So it's good that Karate Australia really accommodated for what you guys are aiming for this year, because it's going to be a massive year. As you said, like we've got Manila Youth League, we've got potentially a Philippines tour. Maybe we can go to China again like we did last year for the juniors. And then you've got Karate World Cup and Junior World Championships. So that's a lot to pack in, and a lot of different needs to be met from different demographics of the Australian team. So it sounds like the coaches really separated that well, and the juniors sort of worked on their own stuff, and the seniors did some team fights as well on the Sunday, which was great.
Absolutely. So what they did is because there was quite a lot of people who applied for the squad, and it was good to separate the last session, especially for the senior female and male teams, that we had like a little short list or like a long list of a squad that could potentially be a part of that team, and we were brought to the side and we were working on the team-based scenarios, and then everyone else that was a part of the squad there got to do match practice in their own little groups as well. So I thought that was fantastic. I'm not sure on the junior space what they did, if they split up into potential, nominated athletes for those, but who knows, maybe we have to get someone that knows more about the junior space.
I'd love to hear a little bit about how they went, because I also saw that they did some VODs as well. So the coaches brought the Premier League in Istanbul, I believe, up on the big screen. Yeah. And the juniors watched that, and the coaches sort of talked them through what their analysis. I was going to... Analysation, definitely not.
Surely analysation's a word.
They put the Premier League up on the big screen and did their analysis and walked the juniors through what they saw in that Premier League, which is what we need to see more of. I mean, it's so important to watch the highest level of karate and have a little bit of back and forth between coaches and athletes of what they see. So it was good to see that they did that. Not sure what the discussions were in the room. But I'm sure I know some of these coaches are pretty diehard about watching these Premier Leagues.
Absolutely. And I think what would be good is to watch some of the youth leagues as well, because the first one's coming up in 2 weeks. No, less than.
Great segue, Mitch. Great segue. Very well done.
I actually love a segue. I actually love a segue. So the Youth League in Fujairah is coming up on the 13th, 14th and 15th.
Where is Fujairah?
It's in UAE.
It is.
Yeah, United Arab Emirates. Were you just testing me?
Yeah, just testing. I didn't
Slight
know
doubt.
a little bit.
That's
There was
okay.
some slight doubt.
Hey, that's all right. We've been to a couple of countries. We're all right.
I've never properly explored the UAE.
Yeah,
We did
well-
Dubai, that's it.
that's all. That's
But
it.
yes, yeah, so continue.
Massive. I love the Youth League when we've got some athletes going and some referees. So in the cadet plus 70 kumite is Dardan Jahyu. Junior plus 76 is Regis Ukbaraj. And junior minus 48 kilograms Niyusha Mohammadi. And then junior minus 59 kilograms is Crystal Pham. So got some good little juniors going overseas to cut their teeth in the Youth League stage. And it's like, honestly, we've been talking about this for so long. These guys are probably eyeing off the junior world spots. This is where you need to be.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of repeat offenders here as well, like Darden and Regis. They did the Venice Youth League last year. They did the Venice Youth League the year before. I think
someone did Mexico.
Darden did
won
Mexico. Yeah, he won Mexico. Yep. So very integral for these guys' development to attend these youth leagues. And it's a great opportunity to. And I think Regis will be the biggest athlete there.
He is he's bigger than Daniel.
Yes, but
I saw them stand next to each other on the weekend and I was like, who's this senior that's about to train with us? But he's just a junior. So
that is crazy. My segue was the fact that under 21s are not at the youth leagues for the first time ever. So that will be super interesting to see how that plays out. We had a quick look at the program and it seems like they've spread the other divisions over the 4 days a little bit more, which is good because they were very long days.
So chaotic. I'm so sad to see that under 21's gone from the youth leagues, like especially for Australians. It's such a good level, but what do you do? What do you got to do?
Yeah, but the representation is still incredible at these events. We had a look at it before, and there were some crazy numbers from specifically Egypt and Iran.
A little bit more than 4.
A little bit more than 4 from Australia. Yeah, they've got 266 and 215 respectively. So Egypt and Iran. And even WKF1 are sending 180 athletes as well. Wow. So there's 2,400 athletes across this event between 3 age categories as well. Under 14 cadet and juniors. So there's some incredible numbers. So it's not like the quality is going to drop because under 21 isn't.
No, it's true. No, it's the first one for the year, and I hope that the Aussies have some real good luck going to this event. We do have some officials representing us as well. So Nia Tran, Sean Lawrence, and then Adam Minster is also going, which is great. We always love to see our Aussie referees represent us over there. Should we get talking about the referee that we have on today?
I think we should. Okay. Yes, yeah, because I've been itching to get him on. Let's bring him on.
All right. So we have Sensei Dominic Sculli, an amazing contributor, first of all, to the world of karate, not only in Australia, but in the international space as well. So just a little bit of history about Dominic Sculli here. He's an 8th dan in Shitoru Karate Do Shiyukan. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but he's a chief instructor at Shitoru Karate Do International and then also the president of BTB Martial Arts. Long-time competitor during his career as an athlete, but then transitioned into the refereeing. He has refereed at 12 World Championships and 15 Continental Championships. So if you think about it, when it was every 2 years as well, it's a long time refereeing. Recognised as a Kata A referee in 2005 and the Karate Referee A in 2010. That's a long time, and I would say alongside Nia Tran as well, one of the most in-touch referees that we have in Australia, gives back to the community tenfold and just wants to help the next generation of referees be the best that they can be. And we've witnessed it firsthand with the contribution that he's had with the Kaizen Culture training camp and also his involvement at the seminar. I love working with Dom and how much he wants to give back. So in the past 2 years alone, he's been to the Senior Worlds, World Cup, 4 Series A and 4 youth leagues. So that's a lot of representation on the world stage for an Australian referee.
Yeah, that is absolutely incredible. Let's bring him on, hey?
Absolutely. Well, welcoming onto the podcast today, Dominic Sculli. How are you going today, Dom? Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Mitch, Nate, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. I just want to sort of commend the work that you guys are doing, and it's awesome to see that Kaizen Culture has taken off, and you guys have got yourself in the WKF space as well. So congratulations, and keep up the good work, mate. You're just really punching it out there for the karate community.
Oh,
well done.
We really appreciate that, Dom. And it's just passion, isn't it? You if anyone knows passion for karate, it's you, Dom. You're always at the forefront of trying to get referees involved more and develop them, because that's one of the most important things that Australia needs to do in the coming future, is develop our referees along with the rest of the coaches and athletes. And when it comes to passion and karate, the first person I think about is you. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Dom, now this is the first pretty monumental moment for Kaizen Culture Pod. You're the first ever referee to be a guest on the podcast, so it's a massive honor for us, and I think it's a big deal for the community as well, because we've put out the listener comments and questions every now and again for every guest, but this has been the most engaged listener comments and questions section. I think we've had about 9 people write in some questions, so people are really keen to hear what you have to say and I guess go through the new rules and how that all impacts. So we've got some really good stuff for you. It must be a popularity thing, I reckon, Dom.
I don't know about that. I don't put myself out there like that. Like you said, I'll go out there and I'll referee and I'll give what I see, and hopefully the right person progresses to the next round.
Absolutely. So I guess the first question I want to ask you, Dom, is it's not very common for people to step from an athlete into the referee. Like, it does happen and we need that to happen, but what was the main driver for you to go from competing and obviously coaching and teaching, but what was the decision for you to go to refereeing?
It happened back in the 90s. I was running clubs, and there was a massive call out at national level where there wasn't enough kata coaches, where they had 4 tatamis and they had to shut 2 tatamis down to put the kata judges, or qualified kata judges, on 2 tatamis, and it was a concern. It threw their timetable out, and I sort of thought, I'll have a look into this, and I just knocked on the VRC at the time, the AKF Victoria Referee Commission. I knocked on their door and approached some of the key players and took an interest from there on. So it was just my way to sort of pay back, where I got something out of it. I trained with the state team a number of years, never was able to sort of go beyond the level I would have liked to, but that's another story. But the refereeing side of things, I just thought, let's go with this. So I started at state level, national, and progressed to Oceania. Then 2004, stepped into WKF.
You sort of identified a gap in the support around the karate community that you were involved in, and you decided, you know what, I might be able to help here. And that's the passion that I was talking about earlier that was evident from day one. I do want to know, sort of, when did you realise that there might have been a bit more opportunity beyond just helping your community, but actually to travel internationally and to pursue this as a little bit of a career as a karate referee?
96 when I first started to do the state level refereeing, and then in 2000 I graduated to national level, and then 2001 and 2 was Oceania, and then the opportunity came because I had great mentors around me at the time. I had Tony Smith, Con Cassis, of course, Michael Cassis and Colin Leong, helping us out and really leading the way. And I was encouraged to take the next step. And then 2004, when I got my Ref A in Oceania, I had mentioned to me, would you be interested in doing WKF? I said, absolutely. So I worked things out, and then I went off to Mexico in 2004, and I was successful in attaining Kata B and Kumite B, first time.
Oh, so you sort of never looked back after that moment,
No.
and you decided that the competitiveness came back a little bit, did it, with the referee?
Yeah, a little bit. And then also having, as you've heard mentioned before by other people, that you got front row seats to the best players in the world. Being a scorekeeper, a judge, a kanza, a referee, you're watching the best in the world play out, be in kata or kumite, and you just come back on a buzz and you apply what they put out on the mat back in your dojo, and you just put it back again.
Let's say if I'm one of the parents at home listening to this, or even a competitor who's sort of towards the end of their competitive career and maybe is thinking about stepping into refereeing, what's the first step? Is it just saying, hey, I want to referee, and just asking the question?
Most definite. You want to go along, and if you're a support parent, for example, obviously you're very familiar with the surroundings and what's involved. You might be a table official and you want to take the next step, actually jump on the chair and throw one or two flags around. You approach your state referee commission and they'll guide you and mentor you along the way. There's different levels. There's C level up to B level judge, and then same with referee. And if you're really good, you sort of move along a little bit quicker. Not from C to B to A. You might go from C and might jump to A if you're really putting in a lot of time and effort. And we need the officials to turn up, but we need them to be on point, because we've got some, like I've said all the time, we've got some real good athletes here in Australia, and we're able to work with them, and we can get some serious feedback by the more experienced referees, guiding us along the way, mentoring. I'll put myself there, of course, because through experience, and they're more than willing to help. But there is a commitment on your part to attend and put in a little bit of extra effort. It's not beyond anyone, put it that way.
You've mentioned that, and this is how it started for you, and I feel like it's how it starts for a lot of people in karate, is they just want to help their community. So maybe they've been a table official and that they felt like that's the capacity that they can help the karate federation that they're in at that time, and maybe they want to make a step to be in the chair. But what do you actually get from being in the chair? Like what's the benefit of pursuing a career in refereeing?
Okay. What sort of enticed me? I can only speak on my behalf. You've got, once again, I'm going to go back to the athletes. The athletes put so much effort, energy into the fight or the kata, and you get drawn into it to the point where you feel like I'm engaged, and I'm going to give an outcome here. So I want to be able to be on point to give the right outcome. So I'm on the tatami, and I'm part of the group. I'm part of the team on the outside, and also we're guiding the athletes we're giving the right outcome, and we need to, obviously, if there's a foul in place, we need to sort of educate the athletes, don't do it again. So you're very much, how can I say, you pretty much, you still got your gi on, you're still part of the team, and you're playing a part to sort of advertise and take the sport to a different level.
Yeah, I feel like if you're a parent especially, and you look at what your kids are doing, and you see that they have potential to go into the Australian team and they've got a lot of travel opportunity in the future, you might be thinking to yourself, you know what, maybe I can't be an athlete. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can be a coach. I don't know how much I know about the sport in a coaching capacity, but I feel like a referee is a great way to get involved and pursue the challenge a little bit as a parent. So
it's analysing rules, isn't it? Analysing and executing rules. So I think it's a fantastic way to jump in.
Yeah, and being part of it as well. And there's so many new rules nowadays, and I think we should jump into those maybe after a little break.
Absolutely. Dom, before we get into these new rule changes, which we've got a lot of, there's 10 of them, official new rule changes. You were mentioning that when you were going through the ranks, you had so much support, like from Tony Smith and Sensei Con Cassis and Michael Cassis and all of that, but that was what really helped you, form your pathway to become the referee that you are today. Do you sort of feel that there's a bit of a drop-off with the amount of WKF referees that we have currently, and why do you think that is? Is it just a really difficult pathway to sustain this day?
At this current stage, it's quite challenging. Like when I first started in 04, 05 and so forth, you just need to attend one world championship, be successful in an exam, and as long as you attended one every 2 years, in the beginning. Then it changed to one every 4 years. That's when they started introducing more requirements, like the K1s and the Premier Leagues and the Series A's. You had to do 2, and then the World Championships, and then they bumped it up to 3. And now it's 4, like you have 2 youth leagues, a Series A, a Premier League, and then the World Champs. It is a lot more challenging, given where we are too in the Oceania region. We travel for 2 days, either end of the trip, where a lot of the, say, Europeans and the Asians just hop on a plane within 5-6 hours. They're gone from one airport to another.
Yeah, it is quite challenging in the way it currently works at the WKF and how to maintain your qualification. What do you think the solution is, like, long term for us? Because our geographical location's not going to change. Is it just like we need to figure out how to get more funding? Because I know you, especially you, Dom, you know the financial sting that you have to go through individually, because a lot of these trips are quite unsupported, aren't they?
Yes. So as mentioned in the early part, the last 2 years I did 10 trips. Yes, it was a bit of a sting, time, money, effort, away from family and the business. Be good if we had a youth league or a Series A within the Oceania region. That will play a significant role in maintaining the accreditation. It's just extra time, so challenging. It is for us, and that's pretty much the talk. That's why it's dropped off over the years.
Well,
There
hopefully,
are some good guys and girls coming up the ranks and very competent to be a WKF official, but then they've got to make that and take that plunge.
hopefully one day that we can get to a stage where we have a lot of referees that are fully supported, because that's the dream. Because the more the referee support that we have over in these international events, the better, across all fronts, realistically, coaches, referees, officials, and athletes. I don't know, we've got to get there.
Yeah, and maybe, as you brought up a great point, Dom, if we could hit some of the tournaments that are a bit closer to home. So, yeah, it's great when there's a youth league like in Manila, like this year. It makes it a bit more affordable. But maybe even like the China and Philippines tournament that we did last year, I'm sure that there's opportunity for some referee engagement in that. So maybe a bit more funding, maybe target a couple of tournaments that are a bit closer to home. But I know there's a way back to having a lot of experience when it comes to referees in Australia, but it takes a bit of support, takes a bit of funding, it takes the right direction.
For sure. Let's get into these rules. I think there's quite a few of them, as we mentioned before. We're not going to go through every single one. We'll mention them, but there's a few of them that we really want to highlight. And I guess we'll kick it off with the kata rules, first of all. So the first one is we're sort of almost going back to the flag system, even though we're still using points. We've got the 7 judges still. The way it works is that the judge will basically rate the kata for both, give them points, but it'll be a tally from a best out of 7, basically. So it doesn't really necessarily matter about how much the points total, but it is just purely based off how many judges favoured your kata.
Correct.
There's one question that Nathan was brought up before.
Well, can you just speak through this sort of rule, Dom, and what this means for the change in kata?
Well, for my interpretation of it, it pretty much gives a distinct outcome. You've got 7, being odd number, of course, it could be 5. Obviously, it's going to be 4-3 in favour of, or 7 zip. The score per se doesn't play a part, but then again, you won't want to score it too close to each other. You want to make a clear decision that's either aka or au. And hopefully you can get 7-0 right across the board, but when 2 players are very, very competent and demonstrating all the aspects of the criteria, it does fall 4-3 or sometimes 5-2. That plays a part in a round robin situation where they do a count back, and if there's 2 even players that need to decide one, say like the Premier League situation, to go into the quarterfinals, they need to do a count back, and then they'll see how many flags each player got, and the one with the most out of the 2 that even, that'll be the person who wins the pool to go forward.
And then it would obviously go back to points then if, let's say, they had even amount of a flag split, then it would go back down to points breakdown?
I don't think it goes back down to points. It goes down to how many flags they got. And then I've got the notes there, but don't quote me on this one. We'll have to go through it. But it does explain it. There is like a world ranking part of it there. But you definitely go back to the counting of the flags. And that always refers back to when you have to make a decision. If you can't split it, I believe they need to do a cutter to break it.
Wow, yeah. So it's a completely new rule set, and it's it is shifting. Like the feel is definitely shifting back to the flag system, where each judge just decided ucka or ow. There was no points involved. But then we made the shift to rating a kata and giving a score to a kata based on the performance. And we saw quite a few like draws between athletes where they both score the exact same. That's what we saw quite a bit of in last year in the Premier League and World Championships. Can a judge still score both athletes, ucka and ow, the exact same score if they believe that the katas performed with the exact same score?
No, it can't be hikiwaki.
Yeah,
So
right.
a judge cannot say this is a 45 and this is also a 45. They have to go 45 and 45.1.
They have to give it a separation.
Wow.
So
That's good.
do they give, because, I mean, some of these katas are quite long, as we know. If I see Super MP as the second kata and say MP as the first, I give my score for MP, and let's say it's a 40.0. Do I get reminded of what I gave ucka when I'm making a decision for ow? Do you know this?
Well, going on last year's tablets, the previous score is on the tablet that you've given. So you've got that information in front of you. So I'm assuming, I haven't had the privilege to actually sit in front of the new tablets. I'm assuming the score that you gave to the prior to ucka, for example, is sitting there. So you know to separate the two. But at the end of the day, you have to decide is ucka or ow.
So for all intensive purposes here, we're going back to flags.
It's a
aren't we?
flag system.
That's what
It's
we're
flags.
going back to. Would you agree with that, Dom?
Pretty much. That's how I see it. And then what you mentioned before, a long kata, super empire, and MP, there's no distinct rule saying because it's a more difficult kata, you need to vote that way. You have to look at the 10 pieces of criteria. For me personally, it always goes back to the 10 pieces of criteria.
Yeah, that's interesting. Does
They
that
have to
go
know-
to a local level in terms of like, cadets, if one would perform quite a introductory kata, maybe they're only an orange belt, they perform an introductory kata, and then a brown belt performs a higher kata. Do you take that into consideration, the difficulty of kata now?
No, you don't. That's not a rule. It's not part of the criteria. You've got to measure everything: the transitional moves, the timing, the technique, speed, power, balance, the conformance of the kata. It all has to be considered. The 10 pieces of the criteria has to be measured. And what the athlete should be doing is getting to understand these are the rules, this is the criteria, and this is how the judges are going to measure me.
Yeah, well, that's a
huge.
massive change.
I thought, was that always a rule? Because I feel like the difficulty of kata was something that we've always talked about. I feel like it was a thing that the referees would say. It was, right?
That was in many years ago, yes. Right. But they ruled that out. And even to the point where conformance, they had ruha in there and your style of karate. It's just the kihon. So it's got to be consistent. It's got the conformance and consistency. So you've got to look at those words. Does it conform to the style you're actually representing? And is it consistent? Because some players cross over. We've got a shito player, like when we had shite kata. A shito player would do a goju kata. So they're performing a different kihon, but they need to be consistent in that kihon.
That's fair.
If one mix over, and if you can recognize it, you've got to sort of mark it down. And it has to be sort of taken consideration. But the actual wording, the difficulty of the kata no longer exists in there. Yeah, but someone comes out to a pinan, to a super empire, It has to be done according to the criteria. And if it's done very well, exceptionally well, you've got to seriously consider which is kata would perform better.
That is super interesting and very important for athletes and coaches to know. That's something that I didn't know personally coming into this pod room, but you have a lot of athletes that would pick a higher kata, thinking that the judge will respect that kata a little bit more and score them a little higher. You need to really think about, if you're an athlete, just what is my best kata? What kata do I perform at the best level? So that's super interesting. And if you have any questions about anything that we're about to talk about with the new rules, please comment below the reel, send us an email on kaizenculture.info@gmail.com. Just get in contact with us, because we're more than happy to talk through these new rule changes with you, and we don't have time this pod.
I know. Yep. The next one is theatrics in kata. So these next two is more so about the performative side of kata. So the second one is the theatrics in kata, and the third one is attire and protective equipment. But going back to the theatrics, it's about the ki. So you can't just go.
Like what?
So what's your interpretation of this? Do you have to physically say ki?
Let's go for the easy one first. The attire,
Yep.
As it's stated, no more starched ducktails,
No more
more-
ducktails.
no more puffy jackets. So the kata gi has got to sit just plain as it's been designed, just on the body. The belt can be done in a specific way where they do the double knot and stuff like that. That's fine, but no more ducktails. You'll be pulled up by Kanza assist or Kanza to actually adjust it correctly. So there'll be a few players of just recent years doing all that. They've had to make change, and I noticed that a lot on the last Premier League. A lot of the players were coming out, and Jessica and Lisa were commenting is how plain they look in comparison to last year. But that aside, it's a gi top.
Do you know the reason why? Do you know why that matters?
I think it plays on me personally, what I'm sort of interpreting. It plays more on the theatrical side. It sort of touches on that, like you dressing the kata up, where now we're touching on the theatrics. The combativeness of kata is sort of been lost a little bit in the spirit, as has been mentioned. And the player needs to demonstrate their attack, counter-attack, and defense in the kata. They've got to fight, and they've got to demonstrate that. And the length of the transitional moves and the pauses, it just draws out a little bit too long. Are they understanding the kihon and the bunkai of the kata? Are they putting it on the tatami? And are they actually making the kata combative? Just as much as what kumite players would be very combative.
Yeah, I guess you're right. We do a martial art at the end of the day, and we need to demonstrate the fierceness and the effectiveness of our techniques and our discipline. So I guess that definitely ties into the ki-ing, making sure it's not some crazy. Make sure. I've heard some insane ki-is out there.
Yeah, there's been some very interesting
So
ones.
is it
I'm glad to see that if they're gone.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see, because you said you didn't pick up on it when you're in Turkey. Like, it wasn't a distinct thing that you sort of realised.
Correct, yeah.
But the stomping of the feet, the repetition of theatrics, slapping of the chest, arms, or the karate gi, or inappropriate exhalation, that is something that actually gets on my nerves.
Yeah.
If it's persistent, as written, and
Sorry, Dom. Start again. I was just being a goof. Go again.
If for a DQ to happen, if it's persistent and consistent throughout the kata, my understanding, it's a DQ.
Wow, not even just a penalty.
I was watching the Premier League, and I saw two players get DQ'd. My understanding, that was for that reason.
Was that Roman? Was that Roman from Slovakia? I saw him get DQ'd, and I had no idea why.
I'm guessing, because we scratched our heads too. We rewatched it. He bowed. He announced he called kata A. It was kata A on the board. He finished the kata. Bowed. His belt didn't fall off. He didn't fall over.
Yeah.
I'm only assuming that was the case. We didn't see the referee's huddle because the camera was set on the tatami. but I watched it a number of times, and you turn up the volume, and it's quite evident that you made a big thing about the slapping and the.
Wow.
Yeah, just the little extras because he went. I think it was quarterfinals. It wasn't even in the pool. Quarterfinals. I can't remember who he was up against. It was a very very good karateka. But sorry, Dom.
One player was in the quarterfinals, my understanding. Another player was in the pool.
Yeah, that is crazy. But it's good that it's taken into effect, and that's something that we need to consider with, especially like the ducktails and the puffing up of the gi. And this, it's going to be implemented at national level as well. 100%. So if we've got even like the state comps, the state league competitions, and the Australian Open that are coming up, this is very important for athletes and coaches to know because that's the go-to. The go-to is to make sure that the athlete, a bit of fluff.
Yeah.
And that I'm sure with the referees at that competition, whichever competition we're talking about, that will be a lot of the messaging is, look, we've got the new rules. Athletes cannot do this. We will enforce a bit of a punishment.
Another one to mention just before we move on is also announcing the kata. So you've got to actually make sure that it's recognizable for people to hear what kata you're doing, not just blah, blah, blah. Which sometimes they say, and you're like, what are they doing? You know what I mean? So that's a big one. There are a lot of listener comments and questions about kata we've got here for you, Dom. So we'll reserve that for the end, but we'll quickly go through the other kumite rules now. The biggest one is scoring on a downed opponent. So that means if the person's on the ground, you can no longer attempt to kick them. So I've actually never seen this actually score.
No.
But now it's just not going to be, Toramasen. It's going to be an actual penalty.
Yeah. What's the big change here, Dom?
Well, what I believe on that one would be more of a safety factor. I think a few players in the past have been kicked and maybe kicked a little bit too hard. And maybe the perception of where they don't want to see someone on the ground being kicked. So if they're skillful enough to trip them and get them to actually lie down and just wait that 1 second and immediately there's a score by hand only. Obviously, they're going to pay that according to getting kicked. There's a lot of what I've seen and even witnessed it myself. You've been sitting in the chair as a judge. A lot of the players have been kicked in the hip. And as you know, you've been kicked with pads or no pads on the floor, standing, a kick hurts.
Yeah, it's not the greatest perception as well for the crowd as well.
Yeah. So it'd be more of a skill to actually execute a punch on a down player than, I'm not saying it's a skill to do it when someone's down and getting kicked, but I think it's more of a injury factor.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a great implementation because we never like seeing it in karate and it never scored. So it's good that there's actually a warning against, a chewy against for this now. The next one we've got is just the enforcement of all scoring criteria. I feel like this has been a bit of a development over the last, half decade or so, that especially with the Zanshin, when athletes score, they can't just turn around and scream to the crowd. What's your interpretation of this rule and how do you see it impacting karate now?
The rule has been there for as long as I've been refereeing. It used to be Zanshin, now it's awareness. I'm a big fan for it because many players have scored when they're going in, eyes shut, no hands down, as a possible bobby. They turn around, hands up in the air. It shouldn't happen. It should be clear on entry and clear on exit. So for me, it's a bonus that we actually concentrating on this, as well as the other 5 pieces of the criteria. There's all 6 pieces of criteria. It needs to be executed. And this is where the athlete needs to understand. This is what judges and referees are looking at. We're not looking to penalise and foul everybody. We want to see the score. We want to see the skill of the athletes is phenomenal these days. We want to see the attributes of it. And like I said before earlier, I want to be part of it. I want to call out Yame and say, wow, I called it purposely because I saw 4 flags go out. And I want to pay the ippon. It was clean. Was concise.
You see them look away, then you're not scoring that because it's not a clean technique. And we're actually one of the only combat sports that stop when somebody scores. A lot of combat sports, it's just a continuous thing. So
The one that I wanted to touch on with this rule as well is the kicking and falling down afterwards. The amount of times we see that being paid. There's obvious ones after a hook kick and you fall over and you can easily tell that that's not been finalised. But one that I'm concerned about is, let's say I do a hook kick and my leg gets caught on the shoulder of someone, right? So I've done the hook kick and my leg gets caught and I've been taken down. What would, in that scenario, what would your initial reaction be?
If the kick is clean and concise,
Yep.
according to criteria, and it was an immediate takedown, well, you're allowed to grab two hands. For me, the kick first. If it's first and foremost, I would pay the kick. But if the kick missed the target, the opponent is within their rights to grab the body with two hands, take down and finalise their takedown and score.
For sure. So, the rule is if you fall down after a kick, don't expect to score, basically.
Correct.
I technically didn't fall over. I was taken down after my kick had scored. So in that situation, I should be getting that point, even though I've sort of not come to my feet afterwards.
Well, correct. I've seen many situations where, and I call these guys and girls magicians, where they're able to put a kick up there and drop, and they disguise it so well that they get the kick, but they drop, but there's no awareness directly after the score. And there's ones that do kick, and like you said, they get caught. It's on the shoulder, gets caught. Is there a push directly after the kick, so the score was in or not? But if there was a push with a score, well, the score should be valid, and the push should be also penalised. Wow. So there's a few scenarios there.
I think this was a big one that was evident at the Premier League in Istanbul, and I think it's what you said earlier, Mitch, is especially that anticipation aura where somebody's letting them come in, but the other guy just steamrolls them. That is not scoring anymore. Like whether the kick hits the face or not, if you're in the motion of going down whilst the kick is getting completed, you see it not score anymore. So that's a massive implication. But as you were talking about, I think it is if you get the kick in and then the takedown happens, it's still fine.
Just on that one of the pieces of criteria is good form. If you got good form, the kick should score. If it's no good, the form's not there, well, the one piece of criteria is missing, just like they're sort of drumming the awareness in now. If it's missing, you shouldn't score it. It's going to come down to the individual situation and how the interpretation of the judges, because the judges have got the power over the referee in the first instance, because they pay the score and the referee can overrule it with the push, if the push is there.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it's a great change, and I think it's just a criteria that was neglected a little bit in the past, but it's good to see that it's getting more reinforced now. And then we've got another huge one, especially when it comes to like state and national participation in karate, is skin touch is now legal for all age groups, all official World Karate Federation age groups, which has huge implications to our national championships and state league comps. How do you see this one, Dom?
I like it. I think it's a positive, if it's controlled, of course. If it's skin touch and there's no transfer of energy, as per the book states, unfortunately, like I had an example myself last year in overseas, I mentioned tournament, but I unfortunately had to penalise and disqualify a player, but the kicks and punches were beautiful. I
actually remember this match.
Just lightly touched the helmet, if anything. There was no transfer of energy, nothing, but the rule stated under 14s can't do.
Yeah.
Now, skin touch, because the cadets was always a mixed, for me, it was a mixed category for me, because the foot you're allowed to touch, but the hand, no. If the hands lightly touch or within the 5 centimetres for the cadets, the score's there. That's hands that is, but if it's skin touch, great. But we need to be on point and understand the transfer of energy. That's where you hit, head goes back a little bit, okay, or rocks, but then again, is the player going to try and disguise that as it comes in skin touch, and they're going to make a big deal about it and try and disguise it as contact. So we need to be aware of that too.
It's so tricky. It's so tricky. Like being a referee, there's so many things that are so fluid, and you have to be on your toes the whole time to think about all these different aspects. It's actually such a tricky situation to be in now, especially when applying this skin touch rule for under 14s and cadets, and then juniors as well. So, I'm glad that I'm not a referee because I'd be struggling for sure. We'll go through the kumite one, the last kumite one. I'm pretty sure, in terms of an athlete, the jogai. So if you score and then exit, no jogai will be given. If you are scored on while in jogai, you will not get jogai in addition to the point against you. So just clear this up a little bit. I'm a bit confused here.
Well, you pretty much said it straight. It has to be immediate though. If you stepped and scored, if you're scored on immediate within that instance, my understanding is no jogai as long as you score. But if you've stepped and there's a slight delay to the score, well, it's jogai.
Right. And no point given.
No point given. Has to be immediate. Has to be within that play.
Sure.
Yeah, so I see this coming into effect maybe like takedowns. If I take my opponent down into jogai and score on them, because it has to be immediate to score, then
Correct.
maybe it's no longer going to be a stop of match because the body hit the ground before my punch hit my opponent.
Correct. That's one example.
When else? Yeah, when else can you see this coming into effect, Dominic?
It's pretty much in effect now. I think it's just been cleared up that little bit where you kick, I block it, I throw the leg out, and you happen to land on jogai because it's an instance of kicking, defending, countering, and I score immediately. Because your foot landed on jogai, I put your foot there. Doesn't mean I need to take you down.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
No, that does, yeah. I think it's a very minor change, but I think it will be good because there has been a lot of escape tactics of just waiting in the corner and at the last second when my opponent is going to try to score, I'd step out and take the jogai just to minimise that. But in this case scenario, even if I step out when they're mid-kazami and they score, they finish their kazami, then I'm going to be scored on and I'm going to cop that.
And I'm just going to quickly run through these last three rules. So the video review is changed now in the kumite system, so you can no longer just smack the button and just hope for a score in the last 10 or 15 seconds or whatever it was. The coach now has to nominate whether it's a yuko, wazari, or ippon, which I think is great. It speeds up the process a little bit. It makes it a bit more specific.
Noticeably as well. Noticeably speeds up.
That's fantastic. If
So
we can find so many different ways to speed up the process of a match and the time between matches, game changer. Mixed team kumite. So this is something that's been going on for a while. We've had a lot of mixed team kumite in some of the international opens and things like that, but now that's actually in the rules, so it's recognised within the national federations and by the WKF.
Which maybe hints to maybe we'll see that in the future of like, Karate World Cup as well. Maybe it will become a mixed team event.
Oh, let's bring it back. I cannot wait what that would look like. So there's a bunch of rules that's in that just to specify the structure of a mixed team kumite event, which is great. And then also in para karate, there's a few changes with the blindfolds. It's not even changes, it's just being more specific. We're saying that the blindfolds moving out of the correct position would result in a disqualification.
Yes.
Which is obvious, but maybe just wasn't in the rules.
Yes, yeah.
Anything to comment on those last three rules there, Dom?
No, not at all. I think it's just a step in the right direction.
Fantastic.
Pretty straightforward.
The video review system must get a little bit annoying while you're away, though.
The video review system.
Well, when you're overseas, have you ever had to sit behind the computer and do it all?
Once. It was enough.
Yeah,
Once was enough.
It is difficult, but bringing in this new rule where it's 1, 2, or 3, that has to be, like you said, it has to be very specific because you see a leg go up, you see a takedown happen, you see an arm go out, and what are we looking for? And then was it on the same time as Ucker scored? There was it before or after, so forth and so forth. So it narrows it down that little bit more, so which is good.
Yeah, because sometimes coaches will call video review after like a combination of 5 different techniques from their athlete, like different Yuko, there was a Wazari in there and maybe an Ippon. So you had to check all of them, even though the coach was only talking about one specific one.
Yep.
But you have
Yep.
to review all of them. So it's a bit of
And
a
you know,
redundancy.
they go back 6 seconds as well.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
where you stop it.
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. All right, now let's get to this stacked listener comments and questions section. I am so excited. There's a few like honourable mentions here. Like Jace Nichols reckons that you're the best referee in Australia by a country mile, which is a bit of a contentious one. I think some other people would have a few words to say about that, but I also agree you're one of the best that we've got, Dom.
Thank you. It should be Oceania, the continent, but I'll take it.
There's a couple here. We're going to do some rapid fire questions. Okay,
Please.
so we've had some rapid fire questions from Bella Kayla, Ahmed, and Hannah Sullivan, and also Liam Worthington. So you ready for rapid fire? No thinking, just real quick. For kata, what's the most entertaining style to watch?
Shito.
Shito. You should have said Shotokan, but that's fine.
Quick fire, Mitchell.
Yeah, sorry. For Kumite, what is the most intense match you have refereed?
08, Tokyo, women's team event, Italy versus Greece, because I could understand some of the colourful words they were using. And the intensity that girls were actually putting on the tatami that was a very long 2 minutes for me at the time.
Oh my goodness. Hannah says, what are the things that you look for athletes to score?
Criteria. Back to AB.
Yep.
Back to the basics.
Yep. And then a really funky one here from Ahmed. Do you think AI is going to replace judges so it takes out the subjectivity of the game?
Not in my lifetime.
And then the last one from Liam Worthington. If you could change or get rid of any rule, what would it be?
2 things I wouldn't mind seeing implemented. Maybe a video so we can help the referee and kanza for jogai and time. And what I'd like to see back again, because it was 2-hand grab, but without injury.
Oh, that's huge. We haven't mentioned the 2-hand grab in ages.
No, I've always loved the throws that can be produced with a 2-hand grab. It just got a bit too messy, and that's why we changed it. But I think it was so good for the sport, wasn't it, Dom?
Yes, sir. For me, having a judo background and BJJ background, the grappling, I could sort of foresee what's going to happen, the off-balancing, the turning, and then it's going to happen. But then, look, one hand, you can still do takedowns one hand. It is very difficult to do. 2 hands, you've got a bit more control. But some of the throws I've seen, a lot of the boys and girls have been hurt in the past, and I understand why. We've got to minimise that injury, of course, and look after the athletes. But as a spectacle, it would have been nice to see, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we saw some incredible throws back in the day, and it would make the clinch a little bit more entertaining than it currently is. So
Let's not do that.
just because it's not your expert in your wheelhouse.
Nah,
mate.
everything's in my wheelhouse. Don't worry about that. We've moved on to a few mentions that we did touch on in the podcast already. Kerry Robbins mentioned, she said, great guest, looking forward to hearing this one. But the new Kumite rules are more subjective, like looking away and celebrating. So we mentioned that. Just don't do that. Just
don't do
stay locked on.
Yeah.
And then from George Buse, also international listener, by the way, from the Kaizen Culture Pod, all the way from the UK.
Nice.
The theatrics, just a bit more specific about example videos of the theatrics behind the kata, like what we talked about, the subjective stuff. You mentioned the Roman Herka from Istanbul, Turkey.
Yes, yeah. From Istanbul, Turkey, he was in the pool stage,
Okay.
and it was his last kata against Kazumasamoto.
Wow.
That he scored, I think on the WKF it says 7-0, but he scored 0-0-0-0 for it. So it was definitely a disqualification, so check that out.
Absolutely. And then the main questions here that I've got for you, earmarked, Dom, is first of all from Zane Saavedra. He always comments on, he's like a long time commenter. He loves to hear your thoughts on the new rules and any extra measures that athletes should keep in mind in the back of their minds while competing this year.
Yeah, especially for this year, Dom.
Yeah.
Be mindful of the new DQ regarding the stomping, the slapping. Get rid of it. The announcing of the kata, clean it up. The ki, clear and concise. Get to know your criteria. For me personally, put a definition to each piece of the criteria and how you interpret it and execute it. We don't look for fouls. We don't want the fouls. We don't want the DQs. We want to see how well you perform. We want to see the athlete perform using the criteria. We're told to study it, athlete to perform it, and then we all should get a good result.
Yeah, and one more thing I'll add to that as well for maybe the more junior athletes than Zane, but be specific about your kata choice. Don't just go for the highest kata for the finals match sort of thing. Go for the kata the best, because the difficulty of kata does not play a role in the judges' scoring.
And the last one that we want to finish off with is someone that you work very closely with, is Adam Minster, fellow referee, that's on your radar as well. He wanted us to ask you, what has been the most challenging match that you've been involved in?
Oh, like I mentioned before, was the Italian team event and the versus Greece back in 2008.
It was challenging?
Yeah. There was penalties left, right, and centre, and like I said, a couple colourful words exchanged on the tatami.
I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about, is also the referee interacting with, not interacting with the crowd, but the crowd interacting with the referee. It puts the referee and judges under a lot of pressure during matches like those that are high intensity. So I could only imagine what it would have been like back in 2008.
Well, Dom, this has been an absolute pleasure, as always, to have you on here and discuss all things about the rules. And I don't think we probably have enough time to talk about the things that we really want to talk about and how we can change and make things better for the referee landscape. And
we'll do that off record.
Yeah, we'll do that off record. But I just can't thank you enough for, once again, your contribution to karate. It's, like I said before, it doesn't go unnoticed. And we thank you for all your effort that you put in, day out.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure. Once again, I congratulate you too for all the work you've been doing to date, and I'm sure there's going to be bigger and brighter things happening for you, and hopefully we can get karate back on the Olympic calendar, and it would be a good thing for everybody, I think. It's got to get ahead, new little rules, little changes, and let's start the year rolling.
Yeah, 2032. Let's go. And yes, thank you so much for your time, Dom. And we look forward to seeing you at the Australian Open in Sydney, the first massive tournament of the Australian calendar. Obviously, we've got Fujairah coming up, but yeah, really looking forward to seeing you there in Sydney.
Yes, thank you very much, and good luck to everybody, and safe travels wherever you're going throughout the year, and best of luck.
First referee guest done.
Checked off the list, and what a time to do it. I think that little package that he gave from Zane's comment of, if I'm an athlete, what do I need to have present of mind going into this year? Those little tips that Dom gave, I think, so valuable for all our athletes to take into consideration.
So good. And as Nathan mentioned before, if you're confused still or you want more of an interpretation, just send us an email or a DM on Instagram, and hopefully we can come to a conclusion to, iron out all those little nitty-gritty details. But
and if you're interested in becoming a referee... as a parent, athlete, anyone who's a spectator, for karate. If you're interested, I think it can be a very lucrative career for you personally and professionally. Like it's no walk in the park. It's a big challenge, and you're supporting your community through doing that as well, making Australia better in this field. So, if you're interested, reach out to us. We can put you in contact with Dom, and I know he'll talk your ear off about all the possibilities that you can have going into this sort of journey.
I just know Dom is so motivated to try and support the next generation, or just the current generation of athletes, referees, and also bring in new ones, because it's just we're constantly needing more support for the current ones and then just educating the new ones. So that's something where Dom's really passionate in.
And we've got 3 world referees that are going to Fujairah in a couple of weeks, or next week, or very soon. So that sort of international travel opportunity. They don't get supported for that sort of tournament, but there is support for the more major ones. There's a lot of opportunity to travel the world and have some new experiences through being a referee and pursuing that.
But even just like refereeing at a national level,
Yeah.
like you get literally a front row seat.
Yep.
What Dom was saying, to these massive fights and kata displays that you get to see from the sidelines, but you actually have a part to play in it as well, which I think is pretty special.
Oh, I see a lot of value in it.
Would you ever be refereeing?
Would
you ever like take it further?
Oh, right. I've been told. I think if my involvement in Kaizen culture and as a state coach at the moment for WA took a back seat sometime in the future, I see the idea of being a referee as a great opportunity. I really do.
You heard it here first. Clip that up and we'll put it up on social media so it becomes a real thing, and we'll come back to it. That's it. I'm wrapping it up. We're done here.
Second episode of the year done.
Holy.
Looking forward to the third.
Absolutely. As always, please let us know your thoughts, opinions, and feedback. After all, we're an organisation for you. Please send us an email at kaizenculture.info@gmail.com, or just drop a line in the DMs on Instagram or Facebook. We're getting ready for a big Oz Open, so just keep your ear to the ground with everything that we're doing, and just keep engaging with us. We're trying to post more about the podcast stuff, and if it's what you want to hear, if it's not what you want to hear, let us know. But that's about it.
Thank you very much, Mitchell.
We'll see you on the next one.